In the wake of World War II and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Toho Studios in Japan conceived Godzilla as a potent metaphor for the perils of nuclear weapons. The year was 1954, and in the original film, Godzilla emerged as a terrifying consequence of nuclear radiation, unleashed by human folly. Now, over the past 65 years, Godzilla has undergone numerous incarnations, reflecting the changing perspectives and adapting to the cinematic trends of each era. From the rubber-suited behemoth of the Showa era to the high-tech CGI marvels of today, Godzilla has adapted to the times, evolving both in appearance and narrative significance. In some iterations, Godzilla is portrayed as a force of destruction, wreaking havoc upon cities and humanity itself. In others, he becomes a symbol of resilience and a protector of the planet, battling over monstrous threats that emerge from the depths of the Earth or beyond the stars. With each new interpretation comes a fresh take on Godzilla's origins, whether born from atomic tests gone awry, ancient legends, or extraterrestrial interference. The essence of Godzilla remains rooted in the fears and aspirations of the times. From his humble beginnings in 1954 to the present day, Godzilla's legacy endures, captivating audiences worldwide with his timeless appeal and ever-changing presence on the silver screen. Now, although the live-action films have always followed the same continuity, it's actually the animated cartoons that really went out on a limb to show us what a high-tech CGI could not. So without wasting much time, let's talk about every Godzilla animated cartoon ever made. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Godzilla The Series, 1998 to 2000. So, picking from the tail end of the 1998 Godzilla movie, Dr. Tatopoulos stumbles upon the last surviving babyzilla, and this little critter latches onto Nick like he's its long-lost parent. But trouble brews when the military catches wind of the babyzilla's existence and comes knocking. As time goes by, babyzilla grows into a full-size monster and forms a unique bond with Nick. But unfortunately, keeping the creature hidden becomes increasingly challenging for him, especially with the military trying to get their hands on them. Meanwhile, around the globe, a giant buffet of new mega monsters are popping up. Some are the results of freaky mutations, others are ancient beasts waking from their slumber, and a few are straight-up aliens. So Nick teams up with his old colleagues, Elsie and Craven, alongside a French spy named Monique, to form the Heat Team, with a mission to study and understand these colossal creatures before military intervention becomes inevitable. But not all monsters are friendly, and that is exactly where Godzilla steps in to maintain balance. Taking a page from the classic heroic Godzilla flicks and the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, this animated series brings the monster action back to its Japanese roots. While most animated spin-offs tend to dumb things down, this series kicks it up a notch, delivering a monster mash that's a cut above the rest. While the plots might seem a bit familiar, the way they're handled is pretty impressive, because you've got your typical setup of how a new monster shows up, Heat Team jumps in, and Godzilla saves the day. But there's still something about the way it all comes together that just works. Even the characters are surprisingly well written, plus they actually grow and change as the series goes on. Take Nick for example. He starts off as this geeky scientist, but evolves into a confident leader by the second season. Most fans agree that Godzilla The Series is what the 98 movie should have been. It was not afraid to dive into darker themes, like the Monster Wars saga, while still keeping things light, with some well-timed humor. All in all, it's a solid addition to the late 90s and early 2000s animation scene, holding its own alongside some of the best shows of all time. Godzilla Series, 1978 to 1979. This animated series follows a group of scientists aboard the Calico, a research vessel captained by Carl Majors. This team includes Dr. Quinn Darien, her nephew Pete, and their assistant Brock Borden. Now they've got this character called Godzuki, who's Godzilla's clumsy nephew and provides some comic relief in the plot from time to time. When the crew faces danger, they can call upon Godzilla using a special signal device, or with Godzuki's roar. But Godzilla's size tends to change a lot in the show, and his abilities are a bit different from what you might expect. Instead of atomic breath, he breathes regular fire and can shoot lasers from his eyes, much like Superman's heat vision. This classic Hanna-Barbera coded Godzilla served as a captivating Monster of the Week show for kids, making it a must-watch for Godzilla enthusiasts and a great introduction to the iconic monster for younger audiences. It embraced all the familiar tropes of our 70s cartoons, blending them with the Godzilla mythos in the silliest way possible. Despite its predictable formula, outdated animation, and simplistic characters, the show still managed to deliver some epic monster battles with a charming retro vibe. The characters, while somewhat one-dimensional, fit the mold of typical cartoons from that era. Their dialogue often served either to explain the plot or provide comic relief, relief, especially through the antics of Godzuki. Speaking of Godzuki, he was like the Scooby-Doo of that monster world, complete with a cowardly demeanor and hilarious interactions with the crew. In essence, while Hanna-Barbera's Godzilla may not have broken new ground, it offered a nostalgic and entertaining experience, blending classic cartoon cliches with the larger-than-life world of Godzilla. So if you want to watch a mindless, campy Godzilla flick, this one might be worth a watch. Godzilla Singular Point, 2021. In the year 2030, in Nigashio City, Chiba Prefecture, engineer Yun Arikawa finds himself drawn to an old Western-style mansion that has long been abandoned. Meanwhile, graduate student Mei Kamino is investigating mysterious signals emanating from the former Tsuguno District's administrative building, Misakioku. Despite being strangers and investigating separate mysteries, both Yun and Mei are unexpectedly connected by the same haunting melody. As they delve deeper into their respective investigations, they realize that their paths are intertwined by a common enigma. Together, they're thrust into a battle against an unprecedented threat that poses a danger to the very fabric of the universe. Godzilla Singular Point underwent 4 distinct forms throughout the 2021 series: an aquatic phase, known as Quarterless, followed by an amphibious form, called Amphibia, and then a dinosaur-like terrestrial form, known as Terrestris, and finally, the charcoal black Ultima form. Many found this version of Godzilla to be a bit too out there, especially with its origin story, involving trans-dimensional elements called the Archetype. Critics noted that this Godzilla seemed slower and less menacing, more of a global nuisance than a true threat. In contrast to recent iterations emphasizing horror, this Godzilla leaned heavily into sci-fi fantasy, featuring undefined and unrealistic physics. While some appreciated the departure from the norm, others felt it missed the mark in capturing the essence of the iconic monster. But Godzilla Singular Point offered a unique blend of theoretical physics and mythology, harkening back to the essence of classic science fiction. This anime intricately merges real scientific concepts with elements of fantasy, only resorting to science fantasy when crucial to the storyline or setting. Unlike many sci-fi works that gloss over the science part of the genre, Godzilla Singular Point impressively incorporates scientific principles into its narrative. I was particularly impressed by how seamlessly the show integrates scientific ideas into its plot, while skillfully building an atmosphere of mystery and intrigue, encouraging viewers to delve into the introduced concepts and terminology. While some viewers may find it refreshing, others might feel overwhelmed by the complexity of the terminology. Nonetheless, for those curious about science and willing to explore its intricacies, Godzilla Singular Point offers a rewarding viewing experience. Godzilla Anime Trilogy. While numerous live-action films have portrayed Godzilla in various iterations, the world had yet to see a feature-length animated venture. However, in 2017, Netflix and Toho collaborated to fill this gap with an animated Godzilla film trilogy consisting of Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, City on the Edge of Battle, and The Planet Eater. This trilogy represents a fresh perspective on Godzilla that piqued the interest of many fans. Produced by Polygon Pictures, these animated films introduced innovative ideas to the Godzilla universe. First from the trilogy, we have Godzilla Planet of the Monsters. The first film in the trilogy, Planet of the Monsters, introduces a world where humanity is forced to flee Earth due to the emergence of monsters, including Godzilla. The protagonist, Haruo, harbors a deep hatred for Godzilla after witnessing the creature kill his parents, driving him to spend 2 decades plotting revenge. With the help of alien allies, a group of humans returns to Earth aboard the Eratrum spaceship, with a mission to defeat the now colossal Godzilla Earth. Witnessing Earth evolve to accommodate Godzilla's dominance was a captivating element, introducing scenarios not previously explored in the franchise. Now, after reaching Earth's surface, Haruo and his troops discover that nearly 20,000 years have passed due to relativistic effects, and Godzilla's presence has drastically altered the planet's biosphere. They encountered many unforeseen losses and damage from flying creatures known as servums, but pressed on to eventually confront Godzilla. When Haruo attacks Godzilla, we find out that its weak point is its dorsal fins. After leadership was passed to Metphys, who was an extraterrestrial Exif priest, Haruo convinced the survivors to continue their mission, so they successfully trap Godzilla, but their victory is short-lived, as a larger, 300-meter-tall Godzilla emerges from beneath a nearby mountain, devastating most of the remaining crew. Surprisingly, the Godzilla they thought they killed was actually just an offspring of the OG G-Man. Now, trapped under rubble, Haruo vowed to defeat Godzilla before losing consciousness. In Japanese cinema, a recurring theme is the sacrifice of heroes in the name of honor. Similarly, in Godzilla lore, the creature embodies the concept of an immortal dragon, often seen as a guardian guardian of Earth against threats posed by mankind's arrogance and disregard for nature. In this film, despite humanity's return to Earth after millennia, they continue their destructive behavior, triggering Godzilla's wrath. The ending, where almost everyone perishes, aligns with both Japanese cinematic tradition and Godzilla's mythos. It reinforces the consequences of challenging Godzilla and reflects the expectation that confronting the monster will result in casualties. The movie's conclusion, with Godzilla regenerating and leaving entities to monitor Earth, fits seamlessly within Godzilla lore. The expectation of sacrifice and the uncertainty of the outcome further adds to the film's excitement. Despite hoping for the human success, we seem to anticipate their failure, consistent with the established narrative. Overall, the film is a commendable addition to the Godzilla franchise, alongside being a good start to the trilogy, showcasing exemplary anime storytelling, directing, and acting. City on the Edge of Battle. Following the events of Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters, Haruo Sakaki and his team find themselves stranded on Earth, with their spaceship unable to contact them. They encountered the Hotua, who were descendants of humans who remained on Earth, and are initially met with hostility before being welcomed into their community. Joined by Miana and Mina, twin sisters who rescued Haruo and acted as their guides, Haruo's group reunites with other survivors and learns about the Hotua's connection to Mechagodzilla's nanometal technology. Galugu, an extraterrestrial Bilusaludo scientist, convinces Haruo to stay on Earth and continue their plan to defeat Godzilla using Mechagodzilla City. As construction on Mechagodzilla City progresses, tensions rise among the humans and the Bilusaludo over their differing motives because, unlike humans, their race does not believe in the concepts of religion and emotions, only relying on logic and science to make any decisions. As Haruo grapples with his feelings for Yuko, the Exif priest Metphys reveals the news of a greater threat than Godzilla, which is Ghidorah, the kaiju that destroyed the Exif's homeworld. Now, when Godzilla attacks Mechagodzilla City, Galugu makes a desperate sacrifice to stop him, leading to a confrontation between Haruo and the Bilusaludo scientist. As Godzilla destroys the city, Haruo is forced to confront the consequences of their actions and the toll it has taken on his comrades. In the aftermath, Haruo tends to Yuko, who falls into a comatose state, while the surviving humans seek refuge with Metphys, with their future uncertain as they face the devastation wrought by their battle against Godzilla. While City on the Edge might feel uneven at times, the film constantly delivers new content and keeps viewers engaged. This series maintains a serious tone, distinct from some of the more lighthearted entries in the Godzilla franchise. While Haruo's character gains depth and development, others feel underdeveloped. The Bilusaludo, portrayed as a cold and logical alien race, serve as intriguing counterparts to humanity's goals, especially with their fusion with Mechagodzilla City. Despite its flaws, City on the Edge of Battle is a solid addition to the Godzilla franchise, offering a refreshing change of pace. While not flawless, it delivers more than expected, especially with the mention of the iconic monster Ghidorah. The Planet Eater. In The Planet Eater, Haruo finds himself lost and divided from his remaining forces as his friends, the Exif alien priest Metphys, gains a devoted following by promising salvation through a supposed god. However, this deity turns out to be Ghidorah, the monstrous three-headed entity known as the Devourer of Worlds. As Godzilla faces off against Ghidorah, Haruo must confront his inner demons and challenge Metphys. Building upon themes from the previous films, The Planet Eater introduces elements of religion and nihilism, while exploring the dangerous consequences of blind faith and despair. Now Metphys, portrayed as the franchise's most developed antagonist, manipulates humanity's despair to summon Ghidorah and advocate for their golden demise. In contrast, Haruo grapples with his past actions and strives to forge a brighter future, aided by his evolving relationship with twins Mina and Miana, who offer optimism and perspective. Plus, the conflict between Haruo and Metphys mirrors the battle between Godzilla and Ghidorah, though the fight itself may lack excitement in some parts. Nevertheless, there are standout moments, particularly during the melee combat sequences. Ghidorah's portrayal is notably different, with a Lovecraftian design that adds to his menacing presence. Meanwhile, Godzilla exhibits more emotion and assumes the role of humanity's sole defender against existential threats. The film expands upon the lore, delving into the cultures of the Hotua and the grim philosophy of the Exif. In conclusion, the entire trilogy is nothing short of an exhilarating experience for Godzilla lovers. While there are areas for improvement, such as pacing and side character development, the overall experience is satisfying satisfying. Despite its niche appeal, The Planet Eater offers a blend of sci-fi action and philosophical contemplation that may resonate with Godzilla and anime enthusiasts alike. With that, we've covered every animated cartoon made on Godzilla as of yet. Although the King of Monsters has had other insignificant cameos in other animated cartoons, we stuck to a list where he's the main character in all his glory. So what do you guys think of Top G's animated cartoon run? And which one's your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks everyone!